So, well, first and foremost, just want to thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. So, how's London doing now with everything as far as COVID is concerned?
Mm. At the moment, it's not doing too bad. We've had the gyms open since the 12th of April.
Hmm.
We've had, like the restaurants open since Monday gone, last Monday. So it seems to be like things are getting back to normal, but at the
Yeah.
same time, it's still not what it was. I guess it's like that for everyone around the world, but it's a lot better than it was.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
How are I know for a while like the cases were really like sky high is
Yeah.
in UK and stuff like that. Is that kind of getting better too?
It appears so, yeah.
Mm.
I mean, with the vaccination and everything, I think a lot of people are getting vaccinated.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't really hear so much talk about the cases being that high here at the moment. So
Yeah.
that's a good thing. It's a
Yeah,
really good.
it's the same way kind of here in the US. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, and that's kind of like that way too. Been reopening. A lot of gyms have been
Mhm.
they never really were closed like it was in the UK, um but they're just kind of like going back to functioning, pre-COVID type of situation there. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
How is so you said training in UK now is getting better. Have you been going to the gym and everything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a full-time personal trainer and a posing
Oh,
coach, so
okay.
I really miss the gym a
Yeah.
lot. It's closed. It drove me mad, absolutely mad. But the thing is, we did have all the equipment that we need at home, but it's just not the same. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people can agree with me. Training at home and then comparing it to that gym environment, it's completely different.
Yeah.
So I'm so happy to have that space back. So happy.
Yeah, it's so what's interesting is that for people like yourself who are like their business is like coaching and training and posing, helping people pose and stuff. How did you get around that during that time? I mean, I know you said for training you kind of did some things at home, but what about like with your clients and everything like that?
So I did a lot of it online, on Zoom, FaceTime. Um, and then when I was able to train my clients just outside where we actually live. We've got a
Hmm.
really nice space, and as I said, we've got all the equipment. But for a period of time, everything was online. So posing, PT clients online. I still have posing clients online. It does work very well, and we all
Hmm.
seem to have adapted to working online as well.
Yeah.
So, um,
It
yeah,
yeah, it's interesting because so online coaching has kind of been pretty prevalent even before COVID, but I feel like once COVID hit, everybody went online.
yeah.
And I don't know, do you see people like kind of gravitating even more so to online things? I mean, it seems to be easier for for the trainers. It seems to be easier for the clients. So it seems like a natural transition. And COVID almost kind of like pushed everybody to that point. And I don't know if anybody's going to really start bringing that back to face to face. Even like like job, just regular jobs, non-fitness
Yeah.
related, like even mine went to all like virtual pretty much. Like they've completely scratched like the brick and mortar buildings and everything's virtual. So what do you think about that?
Like you said, I do feel as though a lot of people are now used to working online and having that virtual sort of meeting and not having that face to face. But when it comes to something like posing, although it does work, I know still a lot of my clients always will appreciate having that face to face contact. Oh, it
Hmm.
looks like you're frozen. Are you
Oh,
frozen?
yeah, looks like I'm frozen.
I can hear you,
Ah,
but you're frozen.
that's no good. One second. Thankfully, I can always edit this out,
Okay.
huh? uh, I think what I might have to do is switch over to my camera here. One second. It's not as good, but it'll work. All
Okay.
right, there we go.
Okay, there you are.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Um,
you were saying as far as going online, being online.
yeah, I mean, yeah, so as I was saying, I do believe a lot of us are used to now working online. Um, but for example, with my posing clients, there's nothing like having that face-to-face, one-on-one coaching alongside the Zoom classes. And
Mhm.
since the gyms have reopened and I've got my studio space back, I've had a couple of my online clients just come down to see me, even if they have to travel like 3 hours, just to
Wow.
get that face-to-face contact. So
Yeah.
for a lot of people, I do believe it will remain pretty important to have that
Mhm.
contact, to have that connection. But saying that, a lot will remain online for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to be pretty committed to to drive 3 hours. To
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, they are.
yeah.
They are
That's
very committed.
so are more your clientele in the competition world, or are they more lifestyle clients?
So in terms of my personal training clients, they are lifestyle clients for
Hmm.
sure. I don't prep anybody for the stage at this moment in time.
Hmm.
Maybe sometime in the future, but no time soon I'll be doing
Right.
that, because I know how much work goes into prepping someone to the stage. Not to say that I wouldn't love the idea, but I'm very busy with lifestyle clients, and then also my posing clients that I
Mhm.
coach as well. It's not just that one session I see them in. I'm constantly in contact with them.
Yeah.
I tend to look after them the best way that I can. So I already know that I won't be able to handle right now prepping clients to
Mhm.
the stage. So yeah, so
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
it's always like interesting when I talk to people and they're like, oh well, I I'm not gonna do competition, people, because because they're like they just need so much, and it's like
I
it
know
seems
what
like
you're
they're
like.
very needy, it's tough, and I
You know
get.
what? It's not even that. It's I'm a competitor myself, so
Hmm.
I know what's required or what I would like from my coach as a
Hmm.
competitor. Um, and I just feel like I can't give that to
Yeah.
clients at this moment in time, because I've got a lot going on at the moment with the lifestyle and with the posing.
Hmm.
So I can't really stretch myself that
Right.
far, because I still do a lot of the PTing face to face. So that's a lot of my hours of the day actually taken up.
Yeah.
If I was to transfer everything onto online, then maybe, but right
Hmm.
now it'll be near to impossible.
It's a time requirement, right? That you
Yeah,
can't divulge. Yeah, I mean that's a good way to look at it too, because sometimes you do have trainers that will take on too many people, right? And then what happens is they're spread so thin, they don't give the time needed to each individual person, and therefore they kind of get a bad reputation. Oh well, they're not doing what they're supposed to be. It might not be that the person has bad intentions, it
yeah.
just they're spread too thin.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
not ready for that just yet.
Are your posing is mostly for bikini?
Bikini and wellness.
Oh, wellness. So you picked up wellness. When did you pick up wellness? Has it been something that you've been doing for a while, or just recently?
Um, I mean, I would say when it became more popular within the UK, I
Hmm.
picked up a few clients, because my background as starting as an amateur, I did a federation called UK BFF.
Hmm.
We did quarter turns, so I was very familiar with the quarter turns, although
Hmm.
it's a different federation. And it started off with like one or two clients. I always do my research in regards to posing for both bikini and wellness anyway.
Hmm.
And then it just sort of built from there. And I was able to really help the wellness ladies progress, because it's fairly new in the UK as well.
Hmm.
Um, there wasn't many people out there that was actually offering wellness posing. So I felt like there was a need for it there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely an opportunity, right? Because while like Hispanic countries have had wellness for many, many years, now with it being introduced to like IFBB and all that, it's like there's a vacuum there of need, so to speak. So, and what do you think about wellness? Like, do you think it was a good move to add it to, the IFBB? Do you think it's kind of blurs the lines between, bikini and figure and all these other women's divisions? Like, what were your thoughts on it when you first heard about it?
Well, firstly, I love it. I love the look of wellness, and I do think it was actually needed because I know many female athletes that had to do a little bit of undertraining to stay within the bikini category when it comes to the lower part of their body.
Yeah.
So naturally, a lot of the females were starting to progress that way, naturally having a smaller upper body and a larger lower body.
Mhm.
So I felt as though it was needed. So a lot of these girls that were trying to stay within the bikini category, under training their legs, for example, they've fallen nicely into the wellness category. So I think it's great. I think
Yeah.
it's amazing. Yeah.
Do you think that majority of so who would fall into, I guess my question would be, who would fall into wellness in your eyes, like from the other divisions? Would it be like you said, maybe some bikini girls that were just growing too large? What about figure? Do you think it would be an easy transition from like a figure girl that wasn't quite, at that top level to go into wellness?
I mean, it really depends on their physique because with figure, they tend to have a little bit more balance top and bottom, whereas
Hmm.
wellness is just bottom heavy.
Hmm.
So, again, if a figure athlete was to go into wellness, they would then probably need to maybe possibly undertrain their upper body
Mm.
because they're not looking
Right.
for that balance. My understanding is the lower body is the focus when it comes to wellness. They are looking for a well-trained upper body, but there shouldn't be that balance. That's when it goes into bikini, or if you have the muscle development maturity, then that should be figure.
Sure.
That's how I understand it. But I definitely think for bikini girls that are slightly more developed on the bottom half, wellness is the path for them.
Yeah, yeah. It is interesting that like whenever I see any wellness girl like train or anything like that, I'm trying to think back in my mind. Have I ever seen them post anything with training to their upper body? And it's very rare. Like it's usually always like leg workouts, that
Yeah,
kind of thing.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, they're doing what's needed, isn't it?
Yeah.
And probably doing what they truly love.
Right.
Um,
Right.
I mean, no one really wants to be under training a part of their body to compete. I mean,
Right.
most of us that we compete because we love training, right? So if it
Hmm.
comes to a point where, oh my God, I can't train my legs anymore, or I can't do any leg pressing anymore, or whatever it is, it kind of takes the fun out of it.
Right.
Um, so yeah.
And it's also like strange, right? Like because the whole concept of the sport is to train. It's called, it's bodybuilding, so to speak. Not I'm not referring to bodybuilding like men's open. I'm saying just
Oh, yeah.
bodybuilding as a sport. You're building up your body. So it's like when
Right.
you get to a point where, like you mentioned, where you're like, oh well, I I'm doing something counterintuitive. Now it's like instead of training my body or building it up, I'm regressing it.
Yeah,
It starts becoming like a strange mental concept. It's like I
yeah,
work out. I do not work out to receive a better look for this particular division. It's very strange, so
yeah,
once you
of
get to that
course.
level.
Yeah. So that's why I think it was needed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely. I think a lot of girls are grateful for it right now.
How did you get into like fitness and training in general?
Yeah, I mean, I started training in 2012, and
Mhm.
the main reason I wanted to train was because I was always very slim, like skinny fat. I'm quite tall as well, so I'm like 5'8".
Mhm.
And I've got really long limbs. So when I was before training, I just looked very skinny.
Mhm.
And I didn't particularly like the way I looked. So I started training to just gain some more size, some strength, and I guess some confidence as well. And then I obviously fell in love with it, and then 2014 I did my first bikini show. I had a lot of people saying to me, okay, you look this way, maybe you should try this. And at first I was like, you're absolutely crazy, there's no way I'm wearing a tiny bikini and stepping on stage in front of everyone. No, that's just not me. But I ended up doing it anyway. I was extremely nervous, but yeah, I never looked back since. So it was very hard for me in the beginning, like it is for many. It's quite a hard sport to do. And for a lot of the time, I was kind of told that I didn't really have the look for a bikini competitor as well. So mentally, it was extremely hard for me. But there
Yeah.
was just something about it that's just kept me doing it for all this time, all these years.
Yeah, that's interesting that you mentioned that you didn't have some people told you that you did not have the bikini look, because to me, like, you seem like you'd be a shoo-in for bikini, like you said, thin, long limbs, that kind of thing. Did they give you a reason on why, like, what made them think you weren't in that mold, or was bikini in a certain place where, because obviously these divisions have changed over the years.
Oh,
Bikini is very evident that bikini has changed. So, like, what do you think?
I do think when I started, there was a bit of a different look. There was definitely a softer look back
Mm,
then. And although I'd only been training for 2 years, I developed a shape, and I was quite abby. I was told a lot of the time that, for example, I had too defined abs. I should go into figure. They're too
mm,
blocky. I was told, and I don't mind, because judges' feedback is the judges'
right.
feedback. That's what they're there for at the end of the day. But I was also told things like my hair or the bikini didn't go with my skin tone and things like that. Which again, I understand, as a bikini competitor, we need the full package. That's something I definitely learned to understand very quickly. But back then, in terms of my look, there wasn't many other bikini girls with my look, with my frame, and with my features. So I was often told, actually, that I should go to America to compete, because I'll have more opportunity and I'll have more of a chance there. But that wasn't something I could do at the time, and I sort of just thought,
Right.
you know what, I'm just going to keep going and see how far I do get with this. And then eventually, in 2017, is when I was awarded my pro card. Um, so yeah, it's the type of thing that's really taught me that, obviously, if there's something that I want, I'm just going to continue to just go for it, really, no
Mm.
matter what anybody else says. So yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting that you mentioned that. So, one thing I kind of picked out, and you correct me if I'm wrong, when you said, as far as uh, your skin tone, or you start off with saying, talking about your hair and
Mhm.
your features. Are you referring to the majority of the competitors were white? Is that, and there wasn't, you weren't flowing
Yeah,
into that mold, so to speak?
yeah, I guess so, to a certain extent.
Hmm.
There definitely wasn't much bikini competitors that looked like me
Yeah.
back then. So I did think, when I kind of broke into the scene 2014 and was noticed around 2015, there wasn't many other girls that looked like me.
Hmm.
Um, and that's just the way it was.
Right. Did you
It was.
feel like there was a how can I put this? It's like did you feel like it was a bias, or do you feel like it was just the sport hasn't gotten to that point yet? I don't know if there's a difference between the two, but yeah.
You know what? Honestly, I think it was just the sport hadn't got to that point yet.
Hmm.
Because if you looked at the other divisions, there was a variety of different looking competitors,
Right,
if we're
right,
talking about features and things like that. But there wasn't in bikini.
right.
And I was often told, as I said, go to body fitness. It was called body fitness at the time, which is close to figure.
Hmm.
Go to that category, you're going to fit better there. And I was like, no, I want to stay bikini. It's
Yeah,
more me, it's more my style.
right,
um so I do think it was just because it wasn't there yet in the UK, because I used to
right.
watch the Americans all the time, and I saw all different types
Yeah,
of
yeah.
bikini competitors there. So
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Which is interesting, right? Like because with the, with the background of this country, like you would think it'd be the opposite, but in bodybuilding it was like it was the very few sports that very from the initial, start, they had um like different ethnic groups. Obviously like African American ones
yeah.
very early on, very early. And so while other sports haven't got to that point, so yeah, it is interesting that they said, "We'll go to America. You'll do better there." You probably would have.
Yeah, yeah. I'm still yet to compete in America. I would
Hmm.
love to. I still haven't had that opportunity.
Right.
Hopefully very soon I'll get that opportunity. But yeah,
So, what are your speaking of opportunities? What are your plans as far as this upcoming year? With everything kind of opening up,
yeah,
I see more and more that they're having shows. Some are masked, some are not masked. Whatever the case may be.
yeah.
Like, what do you think? What are your ideas on this upcoming year?
So I'm working with Kim Body Bio. So we have set some plans in place to get me on stage as soon as possible, maybe just do 2 or 3 back to back. But the thing is, it's very hard over this side in terms of pro shows.
Mhm.
I think I'm too late for like Portugal now, but I'm looking at Spain, possibly Poland. This is like late August, and then we've got the big Arnold's UK, which I've
Right.
applied for. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that, because I mean that would be amazing. It's in the UK. I can get to
Yeah.
that show, no problem at all. But I've actually had 2 years off the stage. So
Right.
I've had a little bit of a break. So for me personally, it's about making a good comeback and,
Mhm.
making sure I am stepping on stage, looking the part, being in the pro league now.
Yeah.
I know what's required. I can see what's required. And, my coach Kim does as well. So I just kind of just need to get my head down and focused on that.
Yeah, that's the thing about Europe, and I was born in Russia, so that's the thing about Europe is that like these shows there, you basically for almost for every show you have to go to like a different country. It's not,
Yeah.
it's not all within close distances, and it doesn't seem, and I could be wrong, but it doesn't seem like Europe has a lot of shows. Like it seems like US has a lot more shows than Europe.
Oh, definitely. And
Yeah.
especially right now, it's even more harder.
Hmm.
But Two Bros Pro events, they've been absolutely amazing in regards to putting on their shows, and they are involved. They are doing the Arnold's UK. So,
Hmm.
I mean, having that show alone in October, I'm just extremely grateful for. So, just fingers crossed. I am accepted to be able to compete at that show, because that's going to be a massive opportunity.
Is there an amount of women that they want? Like, like is there a certain cutoff? Like, do they only need 10, 15, 20? Do you know?
I'm not sure at the moment, but
Hmm.
there's a deadline to apply, which is the
Hmm.
25th of May. So you have to sort of like get your applications, or at
Right,
least
right.
requests to be in
Yeah.
that show. And then I think we find out early June who's actually made the list, I
Yeah.
guess. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that'll be so you're saying you want to hit a couple of shows before the Arnold. That would be
Absolutely.
good. I mean, and then if you can win a pro show, I guess you would be allotted opportunity at the Olympia, right? Correct?
I mean, yeah, I mean that would be amazing. So
Yeah.
the thing with me, when I won my pro card in 2017, I kind of just wanted to get on stage very quickly. I didn't want to leave
Mhm.
it too long. So in 2018, I did 3 pro shows, um, always placing top 10. So I was like, okay, and then fourth place in a very, very, very small show. But then because I wasn't placing as well as I thought I should be, I
Mhm.
kind of took the time away from the stage, and that kind of stretched out to 2 years. So now it's like I understand that I kind of need to be, I need to know where I stand
Right.
basically at the moment. So that's why I do want to step on the stage a couple of times before hitting the Arnolds, because that's going to
Yeah.
be a massive show.
Yeah, and that's the thing about bikini, because they're not requiring a ton of muscle mass. There's not a ton of supplement use as in other divisions, you can hit like multiple shows in a row, and
Yeah,
even if you don't win, you can. I guess there's a point system, right? Am I
yeah,
correct? So you could
yeah.
also work on that angle as well, which would be would be great. But yeah, definitely 2 years. It might have given you your body a good break, and then also the division kind of moved forward wherever they are now. It does seem like the bikini girls have gotten, you know, how can I put it? Like a little bit harder, a little bit more muscular. Like, what do you think? Is that about right? Do you feel like the bikini division has moved into a more muscular look?
Um, do you know, I don't think, I think over the years, yes,
Mhm.
over the years. But I don't feel like over the last couple of years, for example, I feel like you need to have a balance. You need to have obviously a base of muscle. And then you also need to have essentially like a layer on top of that muscle. You're not supposed to come in with like block abs and striations
Right.
and things like that. So I feel like it's about finding that balance within you as an individual, which is quite hard because you compare to others, but the requirements look slightly different on every bikini girl in my eyes. There's going to be similarities, but
Mhm.
there's also going to be differences.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I feel like as a bikini competitor, as a pro bikini competitor, you kind of need to have that understanding. You need to do what's required, but also understand you're not going to look exactly the same as the girl that's next to you, but you need to bring the best of you. As cheesy as that sounds, that's how I understand it,
I
you
mean,
know.
that's about that's right. That you have to be,
Yeah,
you can't jump out of your own shoes. It's like you can only do what the best that you can look, and then kind of leave it there. It- it's yeah, it's bikini is interesting because there's a lot of like differences between bikini and like other divisions. For example, I'll put this out there, that there's in other divisions when you have the Olympia champion, and they are generally the Olympia champion for quite a while before they get dethroned. In bikini, it seems like there's a lot of changes very fast. Like you have girls that, I mean, it's not unheard of for a girl to win the Olympia and then next year not win it. Which is it's that's not something that happens in other divisions. You have Ashley Caldwell, I think, won it 3 times. I think she's
yeah,
the most winningest Olympia girl. I'm not 100% sure on that,
yeah.
but
And she's won so many shows. She's
yeah,
won over 20 something
yeah,
shows. She's amazing,
yeah.
absolutely
So
amazing.
so she's probably the up there as far as like the most wins. But then, I
Yeah.
mean, can't remember the girl's name. Is it the one that won? She won it twice and then lost it uh, recently. And then the girl that won last year. What was her name? She was I believe she was Brazilian. I'm not
Her name
100%
has
sure.
gone out of my head. I know exactly. It's
Yeah,
so bad.
so
Out
yeah,
of
we
my
don't
head.
have to go into like
Yeah,
names, but
yeah,
then she lost it
yeah.
last year. So it's
Now Janet.
a lot of this back and forth. It almost seems like you have to come in just at the right moment where they like you, like where the judges like you for a few years. Outside of Ashley, because she seemed to be in winning no matter what year
Yeah,
she's competing in. Um, I remember India Paulino.
yeah,
There was a while she was winning all the time, and it's like, and then all of a sudden it kind of stopped. So
yeah.
what do you attribute that to? Do you have any ideas on that?
Um, I mean, I'm sure you've heard it before. Everyone says it's a very subjective sport.
Hmm.
So, and also with bikini, I feel like you can actually make these changes to your physique. So one year you can come in softer, whereas the other year you can come in
Hmm.
harder, maybe with too much abs, and all of a sudden you're not winning because you've got too much abs. So because you can make changes pretty quickly that actually matter when the judges are sitting there, this
Yeah.
is why there's that turnover of sometimes you're winning 3 times in a row, other times you win once and then we don't see you again for a few years and you come back, because those changes can be made
Yeah.
very quickly. They're
Yeah.
often minor changes, but still they're changes in the eyes of the judges that are sitting there and comparing you to those top pros. So
Right.
that's sort of what I take from it.
Hmm. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean that I didn't think about it that way, but yeah, that makes complete sense because
yeah,
because you can, make these minute changes and others can do the same. Sometimes you're at the top and then, you could another year you're, you could be 10 places down, so
Yeah, exactly.
it just
You just
depends.
don't know.
Right. Which on one hand can be disheartening, but on the other hand, if you are that person that's in the 10th place or 15th place, you you don't necessarily have to give up because,
No,
next year you could be top 5, so
absolutely.
yeah, interesting. So, what do you think about, since we brought up Ashley? I was going to ask you a question. If a while back, several months back, there was an issue where some competitor brought up that Ashley, since she already qualified for the Olympia, she doesn't really, by her competing and continuing to win, she's taken places away from other girls. So, what do you think? You think if someone won and they kind of can go to the Olympia race, should they stop competing, or it's not, as long as the rules allow it, then why not? What is your kind of look?
As long as the rules allow it,
Hmm. Yeah.
as long as the rules allow it, because at the end of the day, we are athletes and we want to compete. These competitions are there. So if the rules say you can go and compete, then why not?
Yeah.
Why not go and do it? Um, because as we were speaking about earlier, things can change very quickly. It just so happens that Ashley is just very good and she's
Hmm.
amazing and she wins shows, she's at that position in her career, in her life where she's just doing extremely well.
Yeah.
So, when I watch an athlete like this, I'm just inspired. I'm like, wow, she's done it again. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us pro athletes would love to be in that position, even if we've qualified for Olympia, to then continue to be champions like multiple times.
Sure,
I mean,
sure,
yeah,
absolutely, and also, I mean, I would think that let's not take the factor of prize money out of this. I mean, if the more you compete, the more you make. This is a professional sport. You are a professional
that's right.
athlete, and I don't want to open up a can of worms, but generally speaking, women's prize money is not always as high as some of the men's. So it's
Mhm.
like, and competing often, allows you to like to make a little more, so
Yeah,
why not?
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because what we put into it, we actually have to put in regards to finances, quite a bit of money, especially before
Right.
you win your pro card. It does cost an athlete some money. So if you've got an opportunity to do extremely well in your sport and earn a bit of money, then
Yeah.
why not?
I
Yeah.
remember I was talking to a girl. I was on the stair master, and she was in front of me, and I knew that she did a show recently. So it was an NPC show, and she did figure, and I went in and kind of talked to her, and she kind of relayed to me, helped me realize how much money these women put in into doing just one show, and hers was just an amateur show. It's not wasn't even a pro, and you're talking about all the makeup and the hair and the accessories. It's like,
Mhm.
then of course the travel, and I mean it goes on and on. So it's nice to get compensated for all that, right?
Absolutely. I remember as an amateur spending thousands.
Yeah.
I don't even want to think about the amount of money I spent because I might just cry a little bit. But it was a lot of money. So before having a
Yeah.
bikini sponsor, you've got to pay for your bikini. That can
Hmm.
cost you 400, 500, maybe £600.
Right.
Then your hair's a couple of hundred. You
Yeah.
then got to get your tan, you've got to pay your coach, travel, food, posing coach. Like the list
Yeah.
is endless
Yeah.
for most competitors. But when it goes into the female competitor, I do think there's just that much more
Right.
because of
Right.
all the beauty parts.
Right.
So
Right.
it's
Yeah.
very expensive,
Yeah.
very expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and that's the thing. It's like sometimes people don't understand, why someone is gets into fitness, competitive fitness, and so forth. But you can really see that it really is the love of the sport and the love
Right.
of like trading and competing. Because financially speaking, overall in the industry, there's not a lot of there's a lot more competitors that are making almost nothing than there are that are making enough, so
Yeah.
unless you're in the top 5 Olympia, it's you're probably not making much, as it is. So So it's really the love of the game, that they're
Absolutely.
into. So
Yeah,
okay.
you have to really want to do this because it takes a lot from you, like mentally, physically, financially. But at the same time, there's obviously a passion that we have. And for me personally, it's taught me a lot in regards to like discipline and what I can actually achieve, in regards to my confidence. So
Right.
everything that I've put in for me personally has been worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and of course, like you have your own business now. Your it flows into your competitive history. Even though you mostly you're do train lifestyle clients, a lot your posing is having to do with competitors. So
Yeah,
that's a direct flow from your time in the industry, and
absolutely.
and hopefully you'll get your wins, and we'll see you at the
Yeah.
Arnold and the Olympia. This
That's the dream. That
Yeah,
is the dream.
th-
Yes. Yes.
that's it. So, to kind of close off the show, if someone wanted to reach out to you for training, for coaching, for posing, what's the best way to get in contact? You can go ahead and plug in your info.
Yeah, I mean, my Instagram is a good way. So, Miss Honey and Milk, which is ms_honey and milk, all the full words. Or there's also my email link via Instagram. I always say Instagram because I'm literally always on it replying back to messages. So it's the quickest way to probably get at
Yeah,
me. And then we can take it from there. And yes, I do the one-to-one posing, but also via Zoom as well, which works really, really well. So
awesome. Yep, yep, great. So, hey, thank you again, Tanya, for coming on the show. You have a good
thank
rest of the
you.
day. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
All right. Bye.
Bye.